Let's take a live look now, everybody, at Capitol Hill, where we're just hours away from a crucial vote to fund the government and avoid a shutdown. But with time ticking away, the bill is facing an uphill battle with Democrats united against it. I want to now bring in NewsNation contributor Chris Cillizza, host of So What with Chris Cillizza over on YouTube. And by the way, Chris, too, your first time joining Morning in America since becoming an official member of the NewsNation family. Congrats, my friend.
Thank you. Oh, my gosh, I'm so thrilled. Thank you.
Yeah, we're the luckiest to have you along for the ride. This shutdown, Republicans, I've been thinking about this. Republicans have control of the House, the Senate, the White House. I mean, it seems like this funding bill would sail right through. What's the reason it's facing roadblocks?
Well, because the Republicans do have control, Mark. You're exactly right. But particularly in the House, it's extremely narrow, right? They have a 2-vote margin to work with. And the Republican conference has a broad sweep, just like the Democratic conference, of ideology on this stuff, from moderate to quite conservative, particularly on fiscal issues. And so I think what you're seeing here is, if you lose one or two, they could lose 2 Republicans if no Democrats vote for this. That's a hard margin on any bill, Markie, but particularly on something like this, where conservatives have long looked at government shutdown, sort of the moment of a possible government shutdown, as a way to say, we are spending too much money. This is a sort of a pinch point. Let's use this to reduce spending. So this has long been the case, but it's just a little, I think it's exacerbated by exactly what you said, which is you would think this would be easy with Republicans in control of everything, but things are very rarely easy in Washington.
And obviously, as you and I have pointed out, Democrats, they're standing firm in their opposition to this. I'm just wondering, could that backfire? Like if the government does, in fact, shut down, does that then give Republicans the opportunity to say, well, it didn't have to be this way. This was the Democrats' fault?
So that's what Republicans are hoping. So this is a little nerdy, but let me just do it quickly. So the House is going to try to pass this with just Republican votes. As I said, they can only lose 2, and there's already 1 Republican, Tom Massey of Kentucky, who's on the record saying, I'm not voting for this. So they can lose 1 more. If they do that, they are very likely to adjourn. Say, we're out of here. We're out of Washington. This is the Senate's problem now. We can't change anything in this bill. This is up to the Senate, which would then put the onus on the Senate with the clock ticking. Again, we're talking about Friday. And remember, in the Senate, you need 60 votes to move to a final vote on anything, which means you need 7 Democrats to vote with the 53 Republicans. So this would be Mike Johnson's gambit to say, we did this, and those Democrats wouldn't come along. First hurdle, though, is can they pass it in the House? And that is no easy thing.
Yeah. I have you on because you're nerdy, Chris Cillizza. I mean that in the most loving way, as always.
I don't want to get too in the weeds
with.
I don't want to get too in the weeds with like legislative stuff, but sometimes it does matter.
Yeah, at 6 a.m. I love nerdy talk. Lastly, I think a lot of people, average Americans, when they hear the words government shutdown, you kind of tune it out. It's not exactly the buzziest topic, but break it down for us. I mean, what does this all mean for the average American watching at home, and why should they be paying attention to this?
I mean, look, at one level, it's just a fundamental failure of the government, whether you think it's Republicans or Democrats, right? This is the most basic thing they do, which is provide funding to keep the operations of our federal government going. 25 years ago, this wasn't even a fight. It just happened. And they did it over the long haul, Markie. They did it 2-3 years in one fell swoop. Now, even if this all works out, and that's a gigantic if, even if this all works out, we'll be having this fight in September again. This only extends funding through September. Now, I will say, I don't think this is a moment to panic. The way that these government shutdowns have been structured, because both parties don't want to get blamed for it, is the Pentagon will still be working. Social Security checks will still go out. So it's a shutdown of a sort, right? Non-essential workers won't go. And in some ways, that actually makes it easier for these elected officials to say, like, maybe we should shut the government down for a few days, because the average person won't feel the pain of this. So I would say for people out there, not in Washington, not directly impacted by every second of all this stuff, this is not going to be, your basic services will not be disrupted that come from the federal government, unless Doge and Elon Musk cut them already. But to me, it's important that the government does basic things shows its capacity to fund itself, which should be sort of, the core building block here.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.